Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pack Hub's latest webinar, Packaging Innovations Tackling PPWR Head-On. Welcome to our latest webinar. Very delighted that you could join us today. My name is Paul Jenkins, and I'm Managing Director of UK Packaging Innovation Consultancy, the Pack Hub. We are going to spend the next hour tackling the following subjects. So, a little bit about the Pack Hub. We're then going to have a PPWR intro from Securicat. We're then going to have a packaging innovation review, because as always, we're going to split our packaging innovations into two sections. So we're going to have a few new packaging innovations from our Innovation Zone platform to show you that tackle PPWR. We're then going to have a presentation from Securicat about sustainable security, eco-friendly tamper evidence solutions in anti-counterfeiting and packaging compliant with PPWR. We'll then switch over to the second set of packaging innovations from the Innovation Zone, and then there's a great opportunity for questions and answers. Anything you ever want to ask Securicat and more, please do so. It's very easy to ask your questions. There's a Q&A box in the panel, the Zoom panel. So please ask those questions and we will get them answered at the end. So we'll be finished at about just before the hour. So a little bit about the Innovation Zone and the Patent Zone, familiar to many of you. I appreciate that. The Innovation Zone is an innovation platform, and we've got it's now over 10,000 case studies on the platform. We're uploading 33 new initiatives every week across a range of different sectors: food, beverage, household, health and beauty, industrial, etc. Very much a global view. So a really excellent tool to keep up to speed with what's going on in the market, see what your competitors are doing, and see what's coming down the line. We've also recently introduced the Patent Zone, which does a similar job, but looks at recently introduced packaging patents of interest. So great for seeing what's potentially coming into the future packaging innovation pipeline, but also a great way of keeping up to speed with what your competitors might be doing in terms of packaging trends. Okay, so right into the meat of the meeting. So today's topic is framed around PPWR, which I know many of you will be thinking about on a daily, if not hourly basis. So to get us sort of thinking about PPWR, Securicat is, we've got Vanessa from Securicat. Securicat is a world-leading innovator for brand protection and sustainability with proprietary technologies for tamper verification and secure product digitization. The company is highly vertically integrated, embracing a wide range of value chains. So to introduce Vanessa, she is Head of Research and Development at Securicat and serves on several committees, including one focused specifically on PPWR. So over to you, Vanessa. Can you share your screen, please? Mic off.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul, for introducing myself. I'm just going to switch into the presentator mode. So, great. Okay, so my task now is to bring you into contact with the PPWR, the so-called Packaging and Packaging Waste Directive. I'm sure many of you already come into contact with the new requirements, which are legally binding. And yes, there is a work ahead for many of us. I'm personally very positive about this new directive, and I'm sure we all remember the EU elections. Back then, we voted democratically for a sustainable European Union. However, the PPWR is something to look forward to. It brings together cross-sectors, or rather intersectoral industries, to achieve a circular economy. And together, this will certainly be possible. What is the basic concept of the PPWR? Europe should be the first climate neutral continent by 2025. We want a sustainable Europe, which means that the economy and the society should not suffer as a result. And this will only work if economic growth is decoupled from resource consumption. So this means we need packaging that is able to live in a circular economy. The first question is, which packaging is affected? And the answer to that is quite easy. All all types of packaging. So whether it's industrial packaging or if it's household packaging. In case you're not sure if you are affected by this directive, you can check if you have a packaging or not in Appendix 1 of PPWR. But let's move on the targets. So you can see here that in 2030, each packaging being placed on the European market has to meet the design for recycling criteria. Experts are often talking about the DFR tables. These DFR tables are currently developed by technicians represented in whole Europe. And these criteria will then be published by delegated acts in 2028. And what is sure right now, you can only place a packaging on the European market in case your packaging reaches a recyclability score at least 70%. And another requirement is that your packaging, in case it's made of plastic, has to contain at least 35% recyclate. These are the main targets for 2030. When we have a look on the targets for 2035, you also have to prove that your packaging is really collected, sorted, and recycled in reality. So this means that your packaging really has to be recycled, and you also have to prove that your packaging is recycled at certain significant quantities. Experts are often talking about recycling at scale, which is quite a nice phrase. In 2030, these criteria will be published, and then we know how to calculate the recycled at scale. In 2038, there is an increase in the recyclability score of at least 80%. In case you do not reach it, you are not allowed to sell the packaging on the market. In 2040, we see that the recyclability, the recycling content in plastic-based packaging has to achieve at least 65%. And yeah, so why are the targets getting higher? I think it's quite obvious because people evolve, and if it is possible with the state of the art, we must of course improve. We want to move towards a circular economy, and we need the right packaging for this. So on this slide, you can see a table that shows how different recycling scores are dealt with. If my packaging achieves a score of less than or equal to 70%, then I'm not allowed to sell it in the European market. So in case it's lower than 70%, I'm not able to sell them in the European market. So this means that my packaging has to achieve at least an A, B, or C score. The higher the recycling score, the better. However, imagine that I want to place a packaging on the market, and in 2030 I have a C level. This means that I also know that I cannot sit back and relax, because in 2038 there's an increase of the recyclability score, and this means that until 2038 I have to design my packaging in such a way that it is recyclable at least at a B level, so equal or higher than 80% score. To sum up, we need to continuously work on the design of packaging for recyclability, and that's good news because targets create space for innovation. I have also planned a separate slide on labels, and the main reason for this is that the choice of label components is usually crucial in case you calculate the recyclability score of a packaging. This means that a label, one, for example, consisting of paper, can give a recyclability result of C for plastic packaging. But if I use the right face stock or material or the right adhesive, I can even get an A result. So labels are like a good tool to change something in the packaging in case you have a low score, and to increase the recyclability score, it's often worth having a look on the right choice of material when you put a label on it. So basically, that was it for my introduction for the PPWR. I hope I have been able to give you a good introduction for today's seminar. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them at the end of my presentation, of the presentations of my colleagues.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Vanessa. I'm now going to, always makes me nervous sharing screens. think we're good. Okay, right, over to some packaging innovations from the Innovation Zone. As always, I mean, PPWR really is ultimately about sustainable packaging. So a number of the innovations that we're going to be talking about sort of cover 5 sort of significant trend areas around recycling and recycled content, biopackaging alternatives, a switch to paperization, which can also deliver recyclability through the taking away of unrecyclable plastic potentially, refill and reuse, and packaging reduction strategies. So the first innovation is from Amcor, and they have collaborated with Italian paper specialists Fedrigoni to develop a recycle-ready, flexible packaging solution for wet wipes, aiming to support compliance with upcoming European recycling regulations. The new pack combines Amcor's Amprima Plus PE-based flow wrap with Fedrigoni's semi-rigid PE-based label to form a mono-material solution that is fully compatible with established PE recycling streams across Europe. Certified as recyclable by both Recyclas and Institute Cyclos HDP, the development is aligned with EU's PPWR, which requires, as we've already heard, all packaging to be recyclable by 2030. The solution is tailored for the home and personal care sector, which often relies on multi-material structures that are difficult to recycle. This has been this sector has been a real challenge from a recycling point of view over the years, but we are beginning to see monomaterial developments in this area. The monomaterial design addresses functional needs such as moisture resistance and mechanical durability while improving environmental performance. According to a life cycle assessment conducted using Amcor's proprietary asset tool and certified by the Carbon Trust, the pack reduces its carbon footprint by up to 55% and its packaging weight by 15% compared to conventional multi-material alternatives. Furthermore, it offers potential cost benefits by lowering the other thing that we're all got on our mind, which is EPR, lowering those fees by up to 35%. The Amprima Plus component is also capable of integrating PCR content, which again further supports circular economy objectives. Next up is from Borealis, and they've partnered with Finnish dairy company Valio to develop a recycled PP yogurt pack, again in response to upcoming PPWR targets. The collaboration uses Borealis's chemically recycled Borcycle C HC205TF grade in the thermoforming process for Valio's, and apologies for this pronunciation to any Finnish speakers in the audience, Krikalian Yogurti brand. The packaging contains 30% recycled polypropylene and 70% virgin PP, supporting Valio's goal to establish a the plan is a carbon neutral milk value chain by 2035, so in 10 years' time. The Borcycle C grade is produced using chemically recycled feedstock supplied by Nesta, which upgrades hard to recycle plastic waste into virgin quality materials at their Porvoo refinery. Borealis then converts this feedstock at its steam cracker into mass balance certified PP suitable for food contact applications. So we're starting to see more chemical recycling initiatives coming through the innovation funnel, but it's fair to say the vast majority of recycling initiatives are still in the mechanical recycling space. Next up is from Germany. We've got film manufacturer Supac, and they've developed a recyclable monomaterial packaging specifically for coffee beans and ground coffee, offering an alternative to traditional PET aluminium P composite material structures. Part of its PureLine product family, these films are made from polypropylene or polyethylene and are designed for use in formats such as flow packs, stand-up pouches, and vacuum pouches. The materials meet the complex demands of coffee packaging, providing high barrier protection against UV radiation, oxygen, and water vapor, thereby preserving aroma and product integrity, which is absolutely critical in the coffee sector. Technically, the films offer strong sealing capabilities, high thermal resistance, good foldability, and puncture resistance, ensuring reliable performance on standard packaging machinery without requiring operational adjustments. Next up, we've got Amcor again with their Prima pouches. These are aimed at the bulk food service sector. These pouches are monomaterial and designed to be recyclable in practice in countries with established PE recycling infrastructure. The innovation is aligned with the growing regulatory and logistical demands on food service providers. They're under a lot of pressure to make their packaging more sustainable. Recyclability is a high priority, and also to reduce packaging weight as well as improving recyclability. Compared with traditional rigid formats such as cans, the flexible pouches occupy significantly less storage space, both before and after filling, improving transportation efficiencies. We see that quite a lot when a pack changes format and is more efficient in the supply chain. Often the innovators are very keen to point that out. Suitable for a range of bulk contents such as sauces, frozen vegetables, and proteins, the pouches have been developed again to comply with the PPWR supporting EPR as well, and potentially lowering associated costs, including any packaging taxes. Again, Amcor are very good in terms of using their life cycle assessment to their asset tool, again, certified by the Carbon Trust. And they report reductions of up to 79% in carbon footprint, 75% in non-renewable energy use, and 84% in water consumption compared to conventional heavier packaging. Next up is Papax. They're a German packaging manufacturer, and they've partnered with Ukrainian hemp to create a dedicated, scalable supply chain for certified industrial hemp, aiming to offer a regional, regenerative value chain from cultivation to final fiber molding. The initiative positions hemp fiber as a sustainable alternative to wood pulp and plastic for packaging applications. According to Papax, hemp grows more rapidly than wood and requires less energy for processing and can be cultivated locally, thereby reducing the environmental impacts associated with traditional raw materials. The resulting packaging solutions, including trays, containers, capsules, and paper composites, are over 80% recyclable through the existing waste paper infrastructure. That's a little bit ambiguous in terms of what that actually means in reality. The hemp-based materials meet international hygiene standards required for primary packaging, and they've got lots of certificates to support what they're doing. And it's been designed to align with PPWR and the Single-Use Plastics Directive, another regulatory challenge we all have to face. Next up is a triumvirate of German companies, Südpack, BASF, and Wirtz, and they've collaborated to introduce a chemically recycled meat and sausage packaging solution using BASF's or BASF's ultra-mid C-cycled polyamide. This marks the first use of the material within the HoReCa, the hotel, restaurant, and catering sector, with Wirtz adopting the solution for its fresh meat products. This solution is a mass-balanced drop-in solution derived from chemically recycled feedstock, again making it suitable for integration into existing packaging production lines without significant modification. The high barrier thermoformed film produced from ultramid C-cycled is certified as recyclable within the PE film stream under current German regulations, and is also compatible with Germany's dual recycling system. Cavaris has launched Sleeve Flex R Stretch, a new PE stretch sleeve solution containing up to 75% PCR content, developed through Cavaris's recycling division, Recover. The innovation establishes a sleeve-to-sleeve circular model for the beverage, dairy, home care, personal care, and agrochemical sectors. The sleeves are available with either 35%, 50%, or 75% recycled content and are fully compliant with the EU's PPWR, as well as the UK plastic packaging tax. Waste sleeve material is collected through existing recycling infrastructure and processed at recover facilities, where de-inking technology is used to remove print from used sleeves, allowing for the production of high-quality PCR resin. It's not clear the infrastructure and process to collect that material and to ensure it's all part of a closed loop. But it's good to see that action in place. The last innovation before we move over to the main presentation of the day. Swedish startup Glentech has secured around 700,000 euros in pre-seed fund from investors. Investors to advance its graphene-based packaging innovation. Originating from Chalmers University of Technology, Glentech has developed a nanotechnology process that enables graphene to bond with degraded plastics. This technique improves the mechanical performance of recycled plastic, allowing up to 30% less virgin material to be used while maintaining durability. Unlike some advanced recycling technologies that require bespoke infrastructure, Glentech's approach is compatible with existing machinery used in plastic packaging, production and recycling. The process aims to support the PPWR and mandates which obviously mandates all packaging in the EU to be reusable or recyclable by 2030. Just a comment about graphene. We have been sort of tracking its usage in packaging innovation for the last 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years. It continues to pop up with various different applications. They always seem really compelling and interesting and move things forward. I would have thought we'd be seeing more applications in this area than we actually are. So that's just an interesting point of view there. Okay, so now over to our next presentation, and we have Nina Zehetmaier. Nina has been involved in numerous customer projects on sustainable and secure packaging across various industries for over 10 years. She contributes to a vast reservoir of expertise, which I'm really looking forward to hearing.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. So let's move over to my part. I'll briefly share my screen. One moment. Give me just a second. So it obviously takes some time.
It always takes longer when you're online.
Here we go.
Perfect.
Okay, now you should be able to see my screen, and I will switch into the presentation mode.
Yeah, I'll tell you when
if everything is ready.
Not quite presentation mode yet.
Yeah, now, here we go.
Perfect.
Okay, so thanks again, Paul. The topic that will guide today's session is how to comply with the PPWR while at the same time protecting your brand. Why are we asking this question? Because at first glance, the requirements of PPWR and brand protection may seem a bit antagonistic. Why this? PPWR, as we've already heard, is the effort to put circular economy into effect for packaging. And as such, it relies mainly on 3 pillars. That's firstly reuse, then reduce, and of course, recycle. So overall, it demands less material use, recyclability, and of course, it comes with a minimal impact on the environment. Brand protection, on the other hand, has the purpose of protecting your brand and your products from illegitimate activities such as counterfeiting, exchange and refilling of content, or grey market activities. So you thus want to include features that provide tamper evidence, that enable your consumers or yourself to authenticate products, or to track and trace your products along the supply chain. So as such, brand protection is usually associated with add-ons. But still, while these requirements may seem very antagonistic, complying with both of them is no contradiction. In fact, we will show you how you can align on all these requirements and even leverage synergies in between these. So I've oriented the presentation along these main pillars of circular economy. So reduce, reuse, and recycle. However, we'll start with recycling because this is where we can see where we can get most of the benefit for the moment, and where we can show you how it works, and then move over to the other pillars. So it all starts with what we've already been hearing at the beginning. So monomaterial packaging is key. We all usually call it the one package, one material concept. So as Vanessa has already shown, PP packaging should come with a PP-based label, and paper packaging should have a paper-based label. Why this? Because we want to significantly enhance the efficiency of the recycling process and also of the quality of the recycled material. However, so far, conventional security labels have usually been plastic-based. So most of them were PP, sometimes also PT labels, and sometimes even worse materials. However, we at SecuriCat, we strongly believe in recycling, and we have developed our Recycle Together concept. So we have developed proprietary paper void technology that is designed to support the circular economy in line with the one packaging, one material concept. So as I've mentioned before, so far security labels have mostly been based off plastic, but they are very often used on paper-based packaging. We see a lot of security labels, for instance, also due to regulatory requirements in the FMD, so in the pharmaceutical sector, because of FMD, the Falsified Medicines Directive in Europe, which requires tamper-evident sealing of packagings. And if we could replace all these plastic-based labels with the paper-based labels, that would in fact really be great. Because the paper-based label does not compromise the recyclability of paper-based packaging. It's based off 100% renewable resources. Also, the material is FSC certified. It provides the same or even an increased level of security, and it eliminates the risk of non-compliance with the PPWR. In fact, also the inks and the adhesives that we are using are suitable for paper recycling. So, what are the benefits or the main characteristics of paper-based security seal? As I've already mentioned, they more or less provide the same advantages as their plastic-based colleagues. We have an easy and clear indication of first opening. On the other hand, sometimes the security can be even increased because paper makes tampering even more visible. This is particularly true if you tamper with water, because for a paper-based label, you do not need to add any specific feature to indicate the tampering with water, but the color will simply wash out when tampered with water. Moreover, the paper tends to curl when it's peeled off, which makes it less likely that someone is going to try and reuse the label on another product. Our paper-based labels are available in any generic or customized designs. So this means you can fully customize both the design that's printed onto the label, but also the design of the effect as such. So it can be fully adapted to all your CI requirements. We have these labels available in opaque and semi-translucent shades. Of course, paper as such is a fiber-based material and it's not as transparent, it's not as clear as PP. However, there are very translucent shades already available. And so when we use such kind of papers, we can make sure
that any information covered by the label remains fully readable. So this even goes that far that even QR codes, for instance, covered by such a semi-translucent paper-based label can be scanned with a mobile phone. What we also can offer are adhesive-free opening flaps for easy peeling and pull-off brakes to ensure that the label remains attached to the packaging. So this is similar to the concept that we already know from plastic bottles, where the cap remains attached to the bottle after opening so that it can be recycled together with the bottle itself. And we have brought this concept to labels so that we have a small zone at the end of the label and you can still open it, you still can still reveal the effect, but in the end, the label remains on the packaging and you do not have any small kind of label that is not put into the recycling stream. Of course, our paper-based void technology is also available as tape to secure your shipments. So it's not only security seals, but for larger shipping cartons, we can only provide you with paper-based security tapes. Again, these can be fully customized and they are also available in opaque as well as semi-translucent shades. Moreover, the paper void allows for integration of additional security features, so also similar to its plastic-based colleagues. This can be any special inks, such as water-sensitive inks or cold or heat-sensitive inks, any other color-changing inks, for example. But it could also be a unique identifier, such as a QR code, a variable QR code, or a security hologram. For the hologram, this is the only difference that we have to consider. Again, due to the material characteristics of the paper, there's not much sense of integrating the hologram into the effect because then it would be covered by the material itself and would thus be filtered. So we usually do not integrate the hologram into the effect, which for plastic-based labels we do, but we can compensate this as we will see later on when I show you a small use case. Overall, paper-based labels can also accommodate layered complex security structures and thus become multifunctional security devices. So let's talk about a use case. One of our customers, a hairbrush manufacturer, has changed its packaging from plastic to paper. Our paper void labels supported his efforts. Because the existing, so he was already using a security label, a PP-based security label for quite some time. The label included a unique QR code, so a QR code that was unique for each product and provided each product with its own identity and a customized hologram. However, due to the material, the existing plastic-based label did not correlate with the aim to improve recyclability and sustainability. So it was decided to replace it by a paper-based label. And with regards to security, the main characteristic remained the same. So we still have a unique QR code that's still integrated into the effect. So this is quite essential for this kind of solution. Integrating the QR code into the effect means that the QR code remains on the substrate, on the packaging once the label is peeled off. This is very essential because then it cannot be transferred to any other product. As for the hologram, we still have a hologram on the label, but this is not integrated into the effect, but we compensate with a printed void effect below the hologram. So as you can see in the upper box, when you peel the label off, you see the word void appear. So you still see that the label has been tampered with. Okay, let's move over to the next pillar, reuse. Here it is, and there are many projects I know that are dealing with reusable packaging, in particular also for shipments, so reusable shipping bags, for instance. So here you want to have protection, temporary evidence for your product, but you don't want a lasting effect. So you don't want to have any visible residue on your packaging. This is where our traceless void comes in, which provides a stunning, very clear effect while not leaving any visible residue on the surface. And it's ideal for reusable packaging or shipping bags, and even more perfect for luxury products where the packaging should stay clean. To summarize, it provides temporary evidence without damaging the packaging. The next pillar is reduce. So how can we reduce material weight, and how can security seals or digital security applications support us with this? So on the one hand, we usually have with existing packaging always a lot of add-on covers such as wrappers or shrink sleeves. And security seals can replace them. As we've seen before, these security seals can be designed in line with the one packaging, one material concept, so that we achieve in the end a monomaterial packaging. And while they reduce the material input and the overall weight, they also improve the recyclability. Another aspect here is that a lot of packaging comes with extensive documentation and information requirements. So to comply with these, we have leaflets, we have inserts, we have extensive print on packagings. And how can we reduce this? I mean, in brand protection, we are very much used to using secure, unique QR codes for authentication, for traceability, also for consumer engagement. And these codes, as I've already mentioned, they do not only serve one purpose. They serve authentication, they serve track and trace, but they also act as a bridge to the consumer and allow you to communicate and engage with your consumers or with your patients. And as such, they can also enable access to extensive product information without the need for additional printed materials or inserts. So again, we are able to reduce packaging size, weight, and complexity, while at the other hand, enhancing sustainability and user experience. We can summarize with less packaging, more information. And with this, I'm already at the end, and we just do a short recap. How and why can we meet PPWR requirements with smart labeling solutions? So we've heard that brand protection usually requires, so that this is really the base of brand protection, requires temporary evidence and verification. Additional security features can be integrated. Traceability is a big part of brand protection. But all these smart solutions that we provide can also be easily integrated into existing packagings. They can support material efficiency as well as recyclability and sustainability, and support all three pillars of the PPWR and of circular economy. So reuse, reduce, and recycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. I love how your initiatives completely are in synergy with the trends that I mentioned at the beginning. So that's
Thank you.
Really good to see. And it, obviously everything's to do with PPWR, so it makes total sense that that would be aligned. Okay, I've just checked that I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, right, over to some new some new additional innovations, and then we'll have the Q&A in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to focus on some refill and reuse initiatives, and I think the first one is a great example of a success story. So this is Blenheim Palace, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Oxfordshire in the UK, and they've been working on a circular packaging system to address financial and environmental impact of single-use beverage cups. So this is tackling not just it's not just from a sustainability point of view, but they're actually developing something that makes a sense from a commercial point of view. The estate introduced a deposit return scheme, a DRS, using RFID enabled reusable cups, supported by circularity solutions provider Reuniverse. I mean, this started, I guess, 12, 18 months ago from memory, and they've integrated with MasterCard's payment technology. Visitors pay a £2 deposit per cup, which is refunded upon return via reverse vending machines. Of course, this is a closed loop, so this is perfect for reusable packaging infrastructure. The RFID tagging allows each cup to be tracked, enabling detailed monitoring of usage patterns and return rates. This data-driven approach has led to measurable benefits, including the diversion of 320,000 single-use cups from landfill, which just goes to demonstrate just how much coffee an organisation like that sells. And not just the diversion of all those cups, but also a 1,150 kilogram reduction in carbon emissions over 12 months. The financial savings are also significant. Blenheim has halved its beverage packaging costs, which previously exceeded £80,000 annually. The reuse cups reach cost parity after just 4 uses, so it's imperative that they get as many uses out of each cup as possible to make it financially and sustainably viable. The program's integration into existing visitor routines and the ease of deposit refunds, which do not require app downloads or extra banking details, has driven user uptake, including amongst international guests. So a really nice success story. Refill and reuse, there's lots of activities, a little bit of negativity around achieving scale and cost reduction and all those kind of factors and consumer behavioral change. But this appears to be a success story that we can all learn from. Next up is Waitrose, Waitrose and Partners of a familiar UK supermarket, and they've launched a new reusable cup trial across 9 of its stores, allowing shoppers to borrow a returnable cup to access its free coffee offer as part of the My Waitrose loyalty program. The initiative, called Borrow a Free Cup, has been delivered in collaboration with Circular & Co. The system enables customers to tap their payment card at an in-store dispenser to receive a reusable cup, which can then be filled at self-service hot drinks machines. Customers then have up to 7 days to return the cup to a designated collection point within the store. If not returned within that period, a £3 charge is applied. So they made it very simple, and they have charges in place to ensure that you return the cup. So the trial is designed to encourage reuse and reduce reliance on disposable cups. So a commendable initiative from Waitrose there, and the learnings can help inform future activities in other institutions. Next up, we're looking at the world of pizza, and a real challenge in single-use environment where the packaging is often contaminated and can't be recycled. The German city of Tübingen has launched a reusable pizza box system in collaboration with Tricora, Deutschland, as part of its ongoing efforts to reduce single-use packaging waste. This initiative follows the introduction of a packaging tax in the area in 2022, which applies to food service outlets that provide disposable packaging, dishes, and cutlery for immediate consumption or takeaway. The tax aims to curb urban littering, support the local budget, and incentivize the shift towards reusable systems. So what's happened? The newly introduced pizza boxes are made from blue PP plastic and are available to customers in participating restaurants for a refundable deposit of €5, which is about £4.25, designed for repeated use. The boxes are dishwasher safe and returnable at the same locations where they are issued. Bit more of a challenge, I think, in terms of consumer behavioural change, encouraging the average pizza consumer to go back to their takeaway store to give back the container. But I guess it encourages repeat business. Whilst disposable pizza boxes remain in circulation, they incur a packaging tax of 50 euro cents per item, encouraging consumers to opt for the reusable option. By targeting pizza takeaway packaging, the city is extending its existing reusable initiatives beyond food and beverage containers to address one of the most common sources of single-use waste. Next up is Tomra, and they've introduced a fully integrated system for the collection, cleaning, and redistribution of reusable takeaway food containers. Launched at the recent Reuse Economy Expo, the reuse collection point is designed to handle the entire life cycle of reusable packaging, including transport, sanitization, and quality control. So they're making it easy for consumers to give back the reusable packaging, and then there's a system in place to collect it, clean it, and everything else. So at the core of the system is the Rotate Return vending machine, which uses serialized QR codes to track each container from initial distribution through return, inspection, and redeployment. Consumers return used packaging to their designated RCPs and receive a deposit refund via an online platform. Since the pilot began in Denmark in early 2024, over 1 million reusable cups have been returned with a reported redemption rate of 85%. Now, the Waitrose Retailer of the Week, I think. So UK-based supermarket chain Waitrose have introduced a packaging update for its essential range of hand washes aimed to improve recyclability and reduce packaging waste. Seeing lots of activity in this area. The update replaces the existing mixed material pump packaging, which is a no-go really in the PPWR world, with a new single material format, which is fully recyclable, including the pump itself. The change allows the entire hand wash bottle to be disposed of through standard household recycling systems. Waitrose estimates that the switch will divert almost 76,000 packaging components from landfill each year. Next up is Total Energy's Corbion, specialist in PLA, and they've introduced 2 new PLA polyester variants containing 30% and 100% recycled content. The innovation is part of a broader move to align with the forthcoming PPWR, which mandates recyclability of all packaging materials by 2030. PLA, derived from starch, is bio-based plastic that breaks down into its base components under environmental factors such as air, water, and light. These properties allow it to meet the EN 13432 standard for industrial composting. Huge challenges around a whole compostable piece in terms of home compostability, industrial compostability, availability of those, consumer messaging, and things like that. So, but an interesting initiative nonetheless. Next up, I thought this was a nice standout pack from PepsiCo, and they've introduced a new packaging format in the Netherlands for its Lay Crisps brand called the Snack Box, really essentially to get rid of plastic in the supply chain, really, by offering a paper-based alternative to the traditional flexible plastic crisp bag. The design features a rigid structure with a wide opening and a resealable top, enhancing convenience for consumers, and also really adding a premiumization to the crisp consumption experience. There were some criticisms online that the actual relative price of these packs has gone up. So some adjustments to the pack has allowed the PepsiCo to charge seemingly more per crisp, if you like, which hasn't gone down well with all consumers. It's paper-based, so there is a plastic element to this. The pack is heavier. There isn't any LCA information to hand, but it's an interesting move. One of the trends I mentioned at the beginning is paperization, and this is absolutely that being personified. 2 more innovations. So Swedish retailer Axfood is transitioning its Garant brand minced meat packaging to a flow pack format, significantly reducing plastic use across all products up to 500 grams. The switch results in a 68% reduction in plastic per pack, contributing to an annual saving of more than 100 tons of plastic. And last but not least, following on the heels of Lego, who have moved from a plastic to paper-based for the millions of Lego piece kits that they sell every year. IKEA has gone down a similar route, progressing with its goal to eliminate single-use plastics by 2028 by moving from PE bags to paper alternatives for small hardware components. It's in line with their plastics out agenda. The change is expected to reduce the company's use of virgin plastic by approximately 1,400 tons per year. The new paper bags are intended to offer a more sustainable packaging solution without compromising the protection and containment of the small parts during shipping and handling, although there is no information about carbon footprint reductions, or indeed LCAs. Okay, so hopefully that's been of interest. Quite a wide range of interesting packaging innovations there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I invite my two guests to the floor, and we're going to ask some questions. So just a little bit about your business. So tell me a little bit about security labels. But this is not something that we have covered much in the Pack Up webinars in the past, much to my error, really. So when would you say is the right time to start thinking about security labels? When should brand owners have that conversation with you?
I mean, often they already have security labels, but if they don't have them already, if they don't have existing security labels, or if they want to change their packaging, the right time to think about is actually when you start redeveloping your packaging, so that we really can support you and consult you when you create your packaging, and really see how we can go the most suitable way to comply with all the requirements, with the requirements of PPWR, but also with protecting your brand. On the other hand, I mean, if the packaging is already there, yeah, it's not a big deal to make a proper or appropriate security seal for that.
Excellent. I'm really interested in your paper-based labels, because obviously that really fits in perfectly with the paperization trend. And
it does, yeah.
Labels in the past have been plastic-based, and that have been a real challenge, obviously for recycling and that. So tell me about sort of paper-based labels. Are they do you see them as a sort of one-size-fits-all solution, or is it a bit more dynamic than that?
I mean, as we've mentioned also in the session, I mean, it's not about that you should just use paper for everything. And I think Vanessa already also made it clear in her presentation, in her part, that if you use a paper-based label on a plastic-based packaging, this might downgrade your packaging in terms of PPWR scores. So it's always key to consider to have monomaterial packaging. But as we really see a lot of security labels used on paper-based packaging, it makes sense to have paper-based labels available.
Okay, and in terms of paper-based labels, how do sort of paper security seals compare with security labels made out of plastic like polypropylene?
I mean, more or less, they provide really the same features or characteristics. I mean, what was key for us is to have, I mean, what we worried about at the beginning was probably that paper usually is not seen as stable enough to provide the security. However, we were able to come up with materials that support stability. I mean, of course, you can tear it, but this is usually once the labels are not applied. So after they are applied, they usually don't tier again. So, but this is a quite nice check to see if a label is really paper-based or if there's some plastic still involved, because I mean, there are a lot of materials coming up where you see some laminates included into the paper to make them more stable.
Yeah.
And this is a really nice check to see if it's really only paper, 100% paper, or if there's something else involved. But we really done extensive checks. Also, our R&D department, so Vanessa was highly involved there to really test our labels if they comply with strict requirements, if they comply with shipping requirements, if also for the tapes. To see if they are stable enough to support rough conditions during transit. And yes, we are able to confirm this today.
Excellent. Okay. So a company comes to you, a brand owner, a retailer, whatever, comes to you and they say, help me with my PPWR. How would you tackle it? How would you sort of approach them? Not approach them. How would you, when they approach you, what's the process? Is there a sort of a procedure that you would go through?
Yeah, of course we would, if it's really about a comprehensive consultation, we would also involve our experts here from R&D to bring all stakeholders to the table and see what we can do, how we can develop a packaging, also including, of course, some security features for the consumer. And yeah, to be honest, of course, we can't tackle everything. I mean, we are not able to provide any barriers with our labels, of course, for oxygen or stuff like this. But on the other hand, we today see a lot of packaging, like for fragrances, for instance, where you have these wrappers around. And they are often thought of as to provide also tamper evidence, while in fact they don't, because, I mean, anyone can replace this like cheap wrapper. So there's no real worth behind it. And here it really makes more sense to use a proper security seal.
Yeah, perfect. I get my company gets your press releases, and I've always visit your stand when I go to a show, and I've always been really impressed with the number of innovations that seem to come through your funnel. It's really impressive. Are you able to give us a clue as to what might be coming down the line without giving away any trade secrets? Have you got sort of some nice developments coming through at some point?
I mean, what we've recently launched is a security seal. It's also available both plastic and paper-based. That also includes what we call a cut indicator. So it has a specific die cut included. If you cut the label through with a very sharp knife, it tends to I'm missing the word now. Sorry.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
You
but
got right to the end as
it
well.
doesn't stay stable.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a very specific word now.
Yeah, don't worry. That's perfect. Excellent. We've actually come to the
And
end.
then you cannot simply it tends to fray.
Fray. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it tends to fray.
Okay.
And so you cannot simply put it together and then put some clear tape over it and do like it hasn't been tampered. Because this was something that was brought up from several of our customers, and I think we really found a good solution here.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much, Nina, and thank you very much, Vanessa, for your time. Very, very enjoyable. We've got a number of PPWR questions which we didn't get a chance to answer. The Pack-Up will answer those and get them out as part of the recording outputs, which we will get to you as soon as possible. With the questions to answer, it may be Monday rather than Friday. Our next webinar, we're going to have a bit of a summer break, and our next webinar will be in September, and we'll have more information about that to you. So thank you very much for your attention and your attendance. As I say, we'll get the video recording out to you and the questions answered, and also Vanessa and Nina's contact details for you to get in contact with them. So thank you very much for your time, and see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.